Have you ever thought about how a chapter called The Poets, from an ancient text, could actually give us really timely insights like lessons on faith, sticking it out, divine justice, even maybe a shortcut to being better informed?
It does sound a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? But yeah, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
And this deep dive, it's really custom tailored for you, our listener.
That's right. We're taking our source material here, The Unwavering Path of Prophecy, Surah Ash-Shu'ara's timeless lessons. And the goal is to pull out those really important nuggets, those aha moments, without drowning you in information.
So today we're exploring Surah Ash-Shu'araa. It's the 26th chapter of the Holy Quran.
And the context is key here. It was revealed in the Middle Makkan period. Think intense pressure.
Right, really intense hostility, even psychological warfare against Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the early Muslims.
Yeah, the leaders back then, the Quraysh, they weren't just disagreeing, they were mocking him, calling him a poet, a sorcerer,
Yeah,
even saying he was mad.
that must have been incredibly difficult.
Oh, absolutely. It caused him profound emotional distress, understandably. And that's where the surah comes in. It acts as this divine consolation, a reassurance, and even strategic guidance.
So it reframes his struggle, makes it less isolated.
Exactly. It shows his struggle wasn't unique, but part of a timeless pattern, something shared by, well, all the messengers before him.
Okay, so what's the core message then, the central theme?
At its heart, it's about this ongoing, inevitable clash between divine truth hack and human falsehood batil.
And the Surah argues this isn't just history, it's like a fundamental law of life on Earth.
Precisely. And to really hammer this home, it uses these 7 powerful prophetic stories. You've got Musa, Ibrahim, Nuh, Hud, Salih, Lut, and Shu'aib.
Wow, quite a lineup.
And they're presented as compelling case studies. You see the same patterns again and again. The arguments disbelief uses, the prophet's character, the psychology of rejection, and importantly, how things ultimately turn out divinely.
So there's a clear conclusion being drawn.
Definitely. The surah asserts ultimate victory for truth and its followers, and, well, ruin for falsehood, always.
It's interesting how it's structured, too. You mentioned it starts with empathy.
Yes, it's meticulously put together. Verses 1 to 9 open with this real empathy for the prophet's burden. Then you get the long stretch, verses 10 to 191, with all those prophetic narratives.
And then it brings it all back to the present for them.
Right. The conclusion, verses 192 to 227, applies all those lessons directly to the Quran and Prophet Muhammad's mission. It tackles that poet accusation head-on and gives clear directives and warnings.
Okay, so as we go deeper, what should listeners expect to uncover?
Well, we'll see a kind of blueprint for confronting tyranny, the real power of having a clean heart, what this unwavering path actually means, and even, a surprising link between faith and economic justice.
Fascinating. Let's start with that empathy, then. How does it actually begin? It feels quite raw, doesn't it?
It really does. Verses 2 and 3 are striking. It says something like, "Perhaps you CISO prophets will grieve yourself to death over their disbelief."
Grieve yourself to death. That's intense.
Extremely. The Arabic term, bakiyun nafsaka, it means something like destroy yourself or kill yourself out of overwhelming sorrow. It's this profound divine acknowledgement of his pain before any commands are given.
That's a powerful lesson in itself.
It really is. It shows that attending to the messenger's well-being, their spirit, their emotions,
Yeah.
it's almost a prerequisite for the message to land effectively. God sees his pain first.
It's quite moving, but then it shifts, right, to why people reject the message. And it sounds like God has the power to force belief, but doesn't.
Exactly that. Verses 4 to 6 explore this interplay between divine power, mercy, and human choice. Allah makes it clear he could send some overwhelming sign, compel belief.
Right, make it undeniable.
But the fact he doesn't is presented as a manifestation of his mercy, ar-Rahman. Because think about it, true faith can't really be forced, can it? It'd have to be a conscious choice from the heart.
So the freedom to reject is actually part of the mercy.
That's the idea, that freedom is the basis of our responsibility, our accountability. So when people reject the message, it's not seen as a failure of the revelation, but as a human choice they've made.
And they were looking for these big, dramatic signs from the sky.
Yeah, something spectacular. But the surah points them somewhere else entirely, much closer to home.
Where's that?
Verses 7 to 9 shift the focus to the ever-present seen miracle of creation itself. It asks, basically, haven't you looked at the earth, seen all the amazing plants we grow?
So look around you.
Exactly. The lesson is, faith don't necessarily need some huge, extraordinary event. It can start with just contemplating tafakkur, really thinking about the ordinary familiar world. Every fine or noble pair, Zawj and Kareem in nature, is enough of a sign if you're looking.
And throughout the section, and the whole surah, really, there's that refrain you mentioned. And your Lord is certainly the Almighty, most merciful.
Yes, repeated 8 times. It's like the interpretive key.
What's the significance of pairing those two specific names, Al-Aziz, the Almighty, and Ar-Rahim, the most merciful?
It's crucial. Aridam, the mercy, you see it in creation, in provision, in sending guidance. But Al-Aziz, the might, is a reminder of his absolute power to create, yes, but also to destroy, to bring about justice.
So power and compassion always together.
Always together. It sets the stage for the stories that follow, showing his power is never arbitrary. It's always linked to his compassion and justice.
Okay, let's move into those stories. Musa and Fir'awn, this is the longest one, right? Almost like the main case study.
It definitely feels like the archetype for confronting tyranny. But interestingly, it starts with Musa showing real vulnerability.
Oh, how so?
Well, verses 10 to 17 detail his fears. He's afraid they'll reject him. He feels anxious. My breast straightens. He says he mentions his speech impediment. My tongue will be tied.
Yeah.
And he's worried about being punished for something he did in the past.
He sounds very human.
Completely. He even asked for his brother Aaron to come along for support.
And what's Allah's response to this honesty?
It's immediate and reassuring. Certainly not. So go, both of you, with our signs. We will be with you listening. It's a powerful lesson, really. Divine strength often works through our acknowledged weaknesses. Being honest about our fears is what opens the door to his help.
That's a really encouraging thought. So when Musa actually confronts Fir'awn, the tyrant doesn't engage with the message.
Not at first, no. He goes straight for personal attacks. It's classic deflection, and honestly feels very familiar even today.
What type of attacks?
Verses 18 to 28 show clearly Fir'awn tries gaslighting. Didn't we raise you among us? Then, ad hominem, bringing up Musa's past mistake, trying to paint him as an ingrate. The word used is kafir, meaning someone who denies levels here.
How does Musa handle that?
Very skillfully. He doesn't get defensive about himself. Instead, he reframes his upbringing, linking it straight back to Fir'awn's bigger injustice, enslaving Musa's people, the Israelites.
Turning it back to the core issue.
Exactly. And when Fir'awn is finally forced to address the actual message, who is this Lord of the Worlds you're talking about? He just resorts to ridicule. Can't you hear this nonsense? Then outright slander. He's mad.
It really is a timeless pattern of debate, isn't it? Attack the person, mock the message.
Absolutely. Falsehood, when cleared by truth, often resorts to personal attacks and ridicule. The prophetic response, modeled by Musa, is just steadfastness. Keep the focus on the truth. Don't get dragged into defending yourself personally.
Which eventually leads to that big showdown, the magicians versus Musa. What happens there?
It's incredibly dramatic, detailed in verses 29 to 51. Fir'awn, having lost the debate, turns to a show of force. Musa presents his divine signs, the staff turning into a real serpent, his hand shining brightly.
And Fir'awn dismisses these.
Calls this sorcery. He sets up this huge public contest, bringing in his best magicians, the foremost experts in deception, the text says. They throw down their ropes and staffs, creating this massive illusion of snakes.
Okay, so illusion versus miracle.
Right. Then Musa throws his staff. And it doesn't just compete. It swallows their entire illusion. Gone.
Wow. What do the magicians do?
Their reaction is instant. Total submission. They fall down prostrate, saying, "We believe in the Lord of the worlds, the Lord of Musa and Harun."
Just like that, from state magicians to believers.
Instantly. It's a profound lesson about truth's power. It just cuts through deception. Their journey from servants of a tyrant to potentially martyrs for God shows how true faith can completely reorient your values in a moment. The hereafter suddenly becomes more real than any worldly threat Fir'awn could make.
And then the story moves to the Exodus, the Red Sea parting.
Yes, verses 52 to 68. The Israelites are cornered, Red Sea in front, Fir'awn's army behind. They panic. We're finished.
But Musa stays firm.
His trust tawakkul is incredible. Absolutely not. My Lord is with me. He will guide me. And then Allah parts the sea. A dry path appears.
And Fir'awn follows.
He and his army charge in, arrogantly thinking they've won. And the waters close over them. They drown.
So the same water saves one group and destroys the other.
Exactly. It perfectly illustrates that dual nature of divine action. And it circles right back to the refrain. Verily, and this is indeed a sign, and verily your Lord, he is truly the Almighty, the most merciful.
Al-Aziz in the destruction, Ar-Rahim in the salvation.
Perfect divine justice balanced and complete.
Okay, so after that intense political drama with Musa, the surah shifts focus with Ibrahim. More intellectual, perhaps?
Yes, it moves towards intellectual and spiritual struggle. Ibrahim's approach to challenging idolatry is incredibly logical, almost like a Socratic dialogue.
How does he do that?
In verses 69 to 77, he just asks simple questions. What are these things you worship? Can they even hear you when you pray? Do they help you? Do they harm you?
Forcing them to think about it.
Precisely. He makes them confront the sheer powerlessness of their idols. And what's their only defense? Well, we found our fathers doing it.
Tradition over reason.
Exactly. It's a powerful argument for critical thinking within faith. Real conviction has to stand up to rational thought. Faith shouldn't just be blind inheritance. It should be an examined choice. It makes you wonder how much of what we do is just because that's how it's always been done.
That's a good question. So after he takes apart their false gods, how does Ibrahim describe the true God? Is it just abstract theology?
Not at all. It's deeply personal, what the source calls experiential tawhid. It's about knowing God through his actions in your own life.
Can you give examples from the verses?
Sure. Verses 78 to 82 have him saying, God is the one who created me and guides me, who feeds me and gives me drink. When I'm ill, he cures me. Who will cause me to die, then bring me to life? And who, I hope, will forgive me.
It's very relational.
Very. And notice the subtle etiquette, the adab. He attributes illness to himself, when I am ill, but the cure directly to Allah. He cures me. It's not a dry creed. It's a lived reality, a connection.
Ibrahim also makes a famous supplication, a prayer or dua. What's he asking for there? What's the ultimate goal?
Verses 83 to 89 lay it out. It's like an anatomy of aspiration for a believer. He asks for wisdom, good company, an honorable legacy, lisana and kun, literally a tongue of truth in later generations, paradise. He even prays for his father's forgiveness initially, though that changes later.
And the climax of the prayer.
The climax hits hard. The day whereon neither wealth nor sons will avail, except him who brings to Allah a clean heart, qalbin salīm.
A clean heart, qalbin salīm.
That's it, the sole currency of the hereafter. A heart free from spiritual diseases, arrogance, envy, hypocrisy, doubt. The whole point of the Islamic way of life, you could argue, is to achieve that state. Purifying the heart.
So powerful. And what about those who don't achieve that, who arrive with spiritually diseased hearts?
Well, verses 90 to 104 paint a vivid picture, the regret of the polytheists. It's Judgment Day. Paradise is brought near for the God-conscious, hellfire unveiled for the misguided.
And the polytheists.
They see the utter futility of what they worshipped. They turn on their former leaders, their idols, crying out, "We have no one to intercede for us now, not even a close friend." They desperately want a second chance, but it's denied.
A stark warning.
A very stark warning to really examine who and what you align yourself with in this life. Make sure it's based on truth that lasts.
Okay, so we've had Musa challenging tyranny, Ibrahim promoting logical, heartfelt faith. Now the Surah gives us these 5 shorter prophetic stories in quick succession.
Right, it's like a rapid-fire round reinforcing the core themes.
And you mentioned a consistent pattern.
Yes, the source calls it the unchanging pattern of prophetic history. Each story briefly shows the prophet, their people, the core message always, fear Allah and obey me. Then the main sin their society was known for, how the people responded, usually rejection and accusation, and finally, the divine consequence.
This repetition must make the lessons very clear.
Exactly. It's a deliberate teaching strategy. Let's quickly run through them.
Okay, let's start with Noah. What was the primary sin there?
No. Verses 105, 122. His people's big sin was arrogant elitism. The rich leaders rejected him specifically because, they said, the lowly people follow you. They wanted him to kick out the poor believers.
And Nuh refused.
Absolutely. He made it clear that social status means nothing in terms of faith. It's a powerful statement of Islamic egalitarianism. Their consequence, of course, was the flood.
Arrogance again. What about Hud and the people of Ad?
Hud, verses 123 to 140. The Ad were known for their strength and impressive buildings. Their sin was arrogance in worldly power and materialism. They built huge monuments just for show, for amusement, built fortresses thinking they were invincible, and were ruthless tyrants.
And they dismissed Hud's warnings.
Called it custom of the ancients, just old stories. The lesson.
Yeah.
Material progress without a moral compass leads to arrogance and ruin. Their consequence. A destructive windstorm.
Okay, next is Salih and the Thamud people.
Salih, verses 141 to 159. Their sin was hedonism and defiant transgression. They actually demanded a miracle, so Allah sent a special she-camel, as a clear sign and a test they had to share water with her and not harm her.
But they harmed her.
They deliberately killed her. It showed ultimate arrogance, knowingly crossing a divine boundary that had been made crystal clear. The lesson, clearer proof brings greater responsibility. Their consequence, a mighty blast or earthquake.
A very direct cause and effect. Then loot, lot, a different kind of sin here.
Loot, verses 160 to 175. Yes, here it was moral corruption and public sexual deviance, described as fascia, something unprecedented. They had lost their collective sense of shame, their AII. They even threatened Lut with expulsion because he and his followers wanted to remain pure.
So trying to be moral was seen as the problem.
Pretty much. The lesson highlights the danger when a society loses shame and normalizes immorality. And interestingly, Lut's wife was included in the punishment, showing that tacit approval or complicity matters. The consequence, a shower of stones.
Right. And finally, Shu'aib and the people of Al-Aika.
Shu'aib, verses 176 to 191. Their primary sin was economic injustice and commercial fraud. Cheating in business, basically. Shortchanging people, rigging weights and measures, devaluing goods, causing widespread corruption. Fazad Fir'awn.
So faith isn't just about personal worship.
Absolutely not. The lesson is that faith has to permeate everything, especially how you deal with money and business. A just economy and sound faith go hand in hand. Their consequence? The torment of the day of shadow. It really makes you think about ethical business practices today.
These cycles are so clear and consistent. So after laying out all this history, how does the surah connect it back to the Quran and Prophet Muhammad's situation?
It pivots directly to that in verses 192 to 207. It strongly affirms the Quran's divine origins. It says it's from the Lord of the worlds, brought down by the trustworthy spirit, that's Jibril or Gabriel, upon your heart in plain Arabic.
Emphasizing its clarity and source.
Exactly. And that its message confirms earlier scriptures. This clarity itself is presented as a proof, a hujjah. So if people reject it, the surah argues, it's not because the message is confusing, it's because of a spiritual ailment in their hearts. Rejection is a willful choice.
And given this divine backing and historical context, what was the prophet's specific mission, his mandate?
Verses 208 to 220 outline it. First, Allah's justice is reaffirmed. Punishment only comes after a warning. Then, the prophet's duties. Uphold pure monotheism, tawhid. Warn your immediate community first, your tribe of near kindred. Show humility and mercy to believers. Clearly disavow falsehood if people disobey. And above all, trust completely in Allah.
Is there an example of him warning his kin?
Yes, the famous incident where he gathered his relatives on Mount Safa and told them plainly that their family ties wouldn't save them from God's judgment if they rejected the message. It shows that the call, dawah, starts close to home, but salvation is individual.
Now, the title of the surah, The Poets, it directly tackles that accusation against the prophet. How does it differentiate between divine revelation and, well, just poetry?
It draws a very sharp contrast in verses 221 to 227. It talks about who inspires false poets saying devils descend on lying, sinful people, whispering falsehoods mixed with maybe scraps of truth they overheard.
And what characterizes bad poetry, according to the surah?
It says the astray follow such poets, that these poets wander aimlessly in every valley, meaning they lack a consistent moral purpose or direction, and crucially, they say what they do not do. Hypocrisy.
So no anchor, no integrity. How does that contrast with the Quran?
The Quran, by implication, has a single clear purpose, guidance. It has a consistent moral framework, and it demands integrity. Your actions must match your words. It's purposeful truth versus aimless wandering.
But hang on, isn't there an exception? Does Islam condemn all poetry, all art?
No, absolutely not. And that's a crucial point made in verse 227. It makes an exception for poets who believe and do righteous deeds and remember Allah much and vindicate themselves after they have been wronged.
So, belief and good intentions matter.
Immensely. The tool itself, eloquent speech, art, is neutral. It's the artist's faith, their intention, their moral compass that gives it value. Believing poets, like Hassan ibn Thabit in the Prophet's time, use their talents to support truth, defend the believers, counter lies, art in service of good.
That's a really important clarification. And how does this section conclude?
It ends with a final, quite powerful warning. And those who do wrong will come to know by what overturning they will be overturned. A promise that oppression won't last, that there will be a reckoning, just like for those nations in the past.
Wow. Okay, so this whole deep dive into Surah Ash-Shu'araa, it really feels like a masterclass in divine teaching. A comfort for the prophet, yes, but packed with lessons for us.
It truly is. Yeah. If we try to synthesize the takeaways, That path of calling people to God, it's tough, no doubt, but it's surrounded by divine empathy, reassurance. Faith isn't blind. It comes from free will, from reflection.
And Musa's story gives us that blueprint for facing tyranny, showing strength in vulnerability.
Right. And the magician's immediate submission shows how powerful truth can be, how it can just transform people. Then Ibrahim gives us this amazing model for dawah through logic and defines our ultimate purpose, getting that qalbin salīm.
That clean, sound heart, the only thing that matters in the end.
The only currency, yes.
And those stories of Nuhud, Salilut, Shuaibi, they act like a chorus, right? Each highlighting a specific way societies go wrong: elitism, materialism, defiance, moral decay, economic injustice.
And showing the inevitable consequences. It's a historical pattern laid bare.
So tying it all together, that title, The Poets, it works as a contrast.
A brilliant rhetorical contrast. The path of misguided poets is aimless, wandering. But the surah presents the opposite. The single, unwavering, straight path, the al-Mustaqim, the path of divine truth.
The path walked by all the prophets.
From Nuh right through to Muhammad, peace be upon them all. And it's presented as open to everyone.
And underpinning it all is that refrain: Indeed, your Lord is the Almighty, the most merciful. What's the final takeaway from that constant pairing?
Well, what's fascinating here is it's the central axis. It assures us that Allah's absolute power, Al-Aziz, isn't separate from his infinite compassion, Ar-Ragi. They work together. Meaning guidance will be sent, people will be given time to reflect, believers will be protected, and justice is certain. It's ultimately a promise of hope. In that constant struggle between truth and falsehood, the unwavering path, the path of truth, will win out in the end.
That's a powerful conclusion. So the final thought for you, our listener: what does this all mean for you personally? How can you apply this idea of cultivating a qalbin salīm, that pure heart, in your own life, facing the challenges to truth that we all encounter? What unwavering path are you trying to walk, and how does seeing Allah's might and mercy together change how you view the world around you?